Traveling to Western Sichuan with my roommates, I said that the untreated water by the roadside shouldn't be drunk, and ended up being called a nag. They poured out my bottled water and secretly refilled it with untreated water. Later, to avoid paying the bill, they deliberately started a dispute with a shady shop and drove off, leaving me behind. My legs were beaten to the point of being crippled. I contracted parasitic cancer, and now I lie on the operating table, uncertain if I'll live or die. They, however, went back to school and spread rumors that I had gotten pregnant and had an abortion at the hospital. When I woke up again, I had returned to the day I was supposed to leave for Western Sichuan. They said the river water was clear and looked sweet. I quickly helped them out of the car and advised them with a smile, "Drink more, and take some back for your family to try." The music in the car was turned up very loud. When I woke up, Xianli was being sarcastic beside me. Top students are just different. Even on a trip, they're still holding on to their tablets. No wonder they get scholarships. I shuddered all over, only then remembering that I had been reborn. Zhang Xian turned her head from the passenger seat. "Jiang Qing, since we're such good friends, how about you cover the accommodation for this trip?" I calmly deleted the web search history and shrugged. My family is too poor. I need to save up for next semester's tuition. Tisk, so stingy. Zhang Xian pouted and sat back down. Gazing at the familiar scene before me, I lowered my head and sneered. Just like in my previous life, my 3 roommates insisted on dragging me along for a trip to Western Sichuan. Throughout the journey, they kept talking about the scholarship, both openly and subtly. The atmosphere suddenly turned cold. Seeing that no one was speaking, Gao Tingting, while driving, laughed and said, "Don't make Haruko cry." My brother opened a bar in Western Sichuan. Knowing I was coming, he specifically sponsored 10,000 yuan. "When we get there, I'll give each of you 500. Zhang Xian and Qian Li's eyes lit up. "Tingting, you're simply the best roommate ever." "Exactly. Unlike some people who put on airs every day, who knows what they're pretending to be." Gao Tingting enjoyed the praise for a while before smiling and stopping them. "All right. Where should we go to have fun later?" I suddenly spoke up. "Maybe we should look up some guides first. I heard that around here." Before I could finish, Qianli interrupted me impatiently. "What, are you just trying to show off? Jiang Qing, can you not ruin the mood? The whole point of a road trip is to have fun and go with the flow. If you can't handle it, just get out of the car." She looked at me with disdain, certain that I would back down. The car was speeding on the highway at 120 kilometers per hour. I glanced at the trees flying past outside the window, grabbed her arm, and pretended to open the door. "Fine, then I'll drag you down with me. If we're going to die, let's die together." "You're crazy," she screamed in fright and abruptly pushed me away. Gao Tingting's voice turned cold. "Qingzi, I only invited you because we're friends. If you act like this, I can't cover your food and lodging anymore. Who cares?" I said with a look of disdain. "Once we get to Western Sichuan, we'll each pay our own way. I'm not sticking with you." At that, all 3 of them were furious. Qianli cursed under her breath, while Zhang Xian belittled me while trying to comfort Gao Tingting. "Once we get there, just kick her out of the car. In the middle of nowhere, they'll have to beg us for help sooner or later." I listened quietly, lowering my head with a faint, cold smile. Once we reach Western Sichuan, it's hard to say who will be begging whom. Along the way, they gave me no shortage of trouble. The selfie group told me to get lost, saying there was something dirty in the frame and it was disgusting to look at. In the rest area, they ordered me to move the bottled water and buy fruits. All the dirty and tiring work was left to me. They called it compensating Gao Tingting for the fuel cost of driving me, while I was getting out of the car. Qianli opened the bag I had left on the back seat and noisily dumped everything out. 3 people gathered around, laughing non-stop as they rummaged through the items. "So shabby. Who still uses wired earphones these days? Probably bought for 20 bucks on Pinduoduo. The corners of this tablet are all scratched up. Who knows how many times it's been resold. So grimy. What are you all doing?" I carried 2 boxes of mineral water back and glared at them gloomily. The 3 of them tacitly scattered, pretending to scroll through their phones as if they hadn't heard a thing. Qianli called her boyfriend and deliberately cursed at me in dialect. "Stupid melon, bitch." I held back my anger and moved the water into the trunk. Actually, I knew why they disliked me. My family was the poorest, yet I had the best grades. Every time the 4 of us applied for scholarships and grants, only I qualified. And the advisor only favored me, they openly isolated me. Created a small group of 3, deliberately video called boys while I was changing clothes, and even accused me of stealing. Until this time, their attitude toward me suddenly changed completely. They said the whole dormitory would go to Western Sichuan together, and not a single one of us could be missing. I took it seriously and even stayed up late making a lot of travel plans. Upon arriving at the location, they said the river water flows down from the snow-capped mountains. Capable of making wishes come true and possessing spiritual energy, I quickly tried to stop them. The untreated water in Western Sichuan shouldn't be drunk. It's very easy to contract echinococcus. They, however, said they had never heard of such a disease and thought I was deliberately cursing them. What era is this? Everyone has such strong immunity now. How could they get sick so easily? Qianli is the most narrow-minded, rolling her eyes and making sarcastic remarks at me. If anyone were to get sick, you'd be the first to be infected. The sun was very bright that noon. I need to find a restroom. As it turned out, they secretly poured out my bottled water and refilled it with tap water. That night, I was vomiting and had diarrhea, and I fell seriously ill. The 3 of them exchanged glances, stubbornly denying that they had switched the water, insisting it was just altitude sickness. Who would have thought that after taking the altitude sickness medicine, the symptoms actually got worse? Only when I was on the verge of collapse did they finally agree to take me to the hospital. After an examination, it turned out to be acute dysentery, and I was immediately admitted to the ICU. In my daze, I overheard them whispering and discussing, is she really going to die? What if they find out about the water incident? Don't panic, just deny everything. When we go back, we'll say she was careless outside and had an abortion at the hospital. As I lay alone on the operating table, my life hanging by a thread, they flew back to school and spread my scandal far and wide. Grandma had a stroke from being angered by the rumors. Thousands of miles apart, the grandmother and grandson never got to see each other one last time before death. The tip of my nose suddenly tingled with sadness. I clutched my chest and abdomen, as if the pain was beginning to ache faintly again. At that moment, Zhang Xian suddenly exclaimed, "Look, there's a river over there, so clear. This scenery is definitely photogenic. Come on, let's go down, take a few photos, and rest for a while." Gao Tingting turned off the engine, and all 3 of them excitedly got out of the car. Only I was holding my stomach, not moving a muscle. Ouch! My stomach suddenly hurts so much I can't move. I lifted my head, my face full of pain. I heard the water in Western Sichuan is really sweet. Could one of you bring some back for me? I want to take it home, too. Upon hearing this, Qinli rolled her eyes and slammed the car door shut. Who has the time for that? If you want to do it yourself. Don't start ordering us around. Through the car window, they chatted while carrying fruits and bottled water toward the river. Gao Tingting, held by the arms on both sides, suddenly turned back and smiled at me. Like a proud peacock looking down from above, I pressed my face against the car window, watching eagerly, yet a secret thrill surged in my heart. The most terrifying thing in Western Sichuan is untreated water. It may appear crystal clear, but in reality, every sip contains tens of thousands of insect eggs. Once infected with parasites, the mildest consequence is diarrhea, while the worst could require the removal of the liver or lungs. Even if I were lucky enough to survive, I would never be cured. Watching their playful figures from behind, I smiled softly. Enjoy the last moments of happiness while you can. Zhang Xian was chubby, had a big appetite, and always loved to take small advantages. I heard that the water in Western Sichuan is both good and sweet, so I couldn't wait to pour out the mineral water and filled 5 or 6 bottles to the brim. Seeing this, Qianli and Gao Tingting also rushed to follow suit. It was just noon, and the 3 of them lay comfortably in the shade of the trees, eating sweet, fresh fruit and drinking chilled beverages, with a gentle breeze blowing by. It couldn't have been more delightful. Inside the car, it felt like a steamer under the blazing sun. I was sweating profusely while huddled inside. While they laughed heartily in the distance, Qianli shouted loudly, "Jiang Qing, don't be so stubborn. If you really can't take it, just beg us. It's just a bit of saliva, we're in the same dorm. After all, don't go around saying we're bullying you later." I pretended to be sulky and ignored them, which only made them laugh even harder. It wasn't until almost 1 in the afternoon that the three of them lazily returned. Let's go eat and try some local dishes from Western Sichuan. In an instant, my entire body tensed up. In my previous life, it was because of this meal I had my legs broken and nearly lost my life. At the time, I encountered a scam at a shady restaurant. We had agreed to split the bill, but none of the three of them were willing to pay. Finally, I deliberately started an argument with the boss and took advantage of the chaos to slip into the car and escape. That day, they were smug about having eaten without paying, but I bore the full brunt of the boss's anger. As I watched their car disappear in a cloud of dust, a group of fierce, burly men dragged me along the ground. A thick stick, as thick as an arm, was swung hard against the body, instantly splitting the skin and flesh, shattering the leg bone. The pain was so intense it felt like my eyes would burst, yet I couldn't utter a single scream. It was a nightmare that haunted me for the rest of my life. We're here. The car suddenly braked hard, and I was caught off guard, bumping into the front seat. Looking up, sure enough, it was still this shop, Alpine Fish Village. The shop had a large area, seemingly converted from a garage shed, with warning signs posted on every table. For every 50 G wasted, each person will be fined 200 yuan. They glanced at it and continued chatting and laughing, not taking it seriously at all. Just like in her previous life, Gao Tingting, spurred by the boss, waved her hand with great enthusiasm. She chose the largest fish. Zhang Xian politely declined. Let's split the bill later. We can't let Tingting pay for everything. I quickly waved my hand. I'm not eating. Don't count me in. Tisk, look at her shabby appearance. Qianli burst into laughter, but when it came time to pay the bill, none of the three could laugh anymore. Gao Tingting screamed, "What? This fish is so poorly cooked, and it costs 200 per pound. Why don't you just rob us? This is high mountain snow fish, difficult to catch, so it's expensive," the shop owner explained calmly and confidently. He was even holding the menu in his hand, which listed the fish at 88 yuan per jean. It was clearly an attempt to overcharge customers. Plus the wasted part, for one fish, they ended up spending nearly 2,000. Qian Li's eyes darted, and she suddenly pointed at me to the boss. "Big brother, we're all students, we really don't have that much money, but my classmate here just got her scholarship and has several thousand on her." Seeing everyone look over, I squeezed out some tears. "Boss, I haven't taken a single bite. They're trying to skip the bill and tricked you on purpose. Besides, I have a serious infectious disease and never dare to eat out." Hearing this, the boss's face turned pale. "Get out of here if you're sick. Are you trying to ruin my business?" He scolded me harshly and kicked me out. I hadn't taken 2 steps when 3 terrified screams came from behind me. Without even turning my head, I quickly left. Western Sichuan experiences its rainy season from April to October. The morning was scorching hot, and by evening, it had started to rain. I chose the same path I had taken earlier and was just thinking about how to get to the airport when I suddenly received a call from Zhang Xian. "Jiang Qing, please, come and save us." On the other end of the line, she cried out in a tearful voice. Qianli and Tingting seemed to be in serious trouble. I'm not at all surprised they managed to escape from that shady establishment. Gao Tingting had plenty of money on her. The three of them probably just suffered some minor injuries to get out. But in my previous life, they insisted that I had hidden money, which pushed the boss to go after me with deadly force. What truly made them despair was the raw water. I followed the direction Zhang Xian had mentioned and slowly walked back. It turned out that they had been scared out of their wits ever since leaving the high mountain fish village. The three of them discussed it and immediately decided to turn back right away. Who would have thought that just a few kilometers into the drive, Qianli was the first to clutch her stomach and look for a restroom. Shortly after, Gao Tingting also stopped the car with a frown. In just 7 or 8 minutes, all three of them were unable to move. It was only then that they remembered they had a roommate like me. Heart-wrenching cries came through the phone. By the time I arrived, I saw 3 girls with bruised and swollen faces. Qianli was already covered in filth, lying unconscious on the ground. Gao Tingting was clutching her stomach, drenched in sweat, while Zhang Xian, pale-faced, was curled up by the car, gripping her phone. Seeing me, their eyes instantly lit up with a sparkle. "You finally came," Gao Tingting sobbed, gasping for breath. "It seems like we're all suffering from altitude sickness." I helplessly spread my hands, calling me won't help with this. You need to call an ambulance. After more than 40 minutes of struggling, by the time the person was sent to the hospital, the situation was already critical. Qianli died on the operating table after unsuccessful emergency treatment. After the death was announced, Zhang Xian struggled frantically, refusing to enter the operating room, and was knocked unconscious by a nurse with a sedative injection. Gao Tingting's face turned deathly pale, her teeth chattering uncontrollably. Seeing this, the doctor couldn't help but raise his voice. All over Tibet, there are warning signs about hydatid disease. Didn't you see any of them? Seemingly clear mountain spring water, hydatid disease, plague, animal carcasses, feces, only unthinkable, nothing impossible. Faced with the questioning, she shook her head in bewilderment. People's immunity is so high these days. Can you really die from drinking water? Zhang Xian ultimately survived, but half of her liver was removed. Lying in the intensive care unit, with a persistent high fever, on the brink of death, the doctor said that hydatid disease is theoretically incurable and will last a lifetime. The infected lesions need to be continuously cleaned. If even one egg is missed, it can infect the entire body. Among the three, only Gao Tingting had the mildest symptoms. I had been vomiting and having diarrhea for a few days. And just as I was starting to feel better, something happened. Qian Li's parents both work on the factory assembly line. The couple rushed over, covered in dust, and collapsed to the ground in tears on the spot. 4 or 5 of Zhang Xian's relatives came and immediately surrounded us. Uncle Zhang, with a face full of sternness, glared at us and scolded sharply. Xiao Xian was perfectly fine when she went on this trip with you, and now her life is ruined. Who among you can take responsibility for this? Gao Tingting immediately pushed me forward. Uncle. She was the one who said the water in Western Sichuan was sweet, so we drank it. Look, she's the only one bouncing around full of energy right now. I'm a victim too. I pinched my thigh hard, the pain making my eyes water. I'm completely innocent. Gao Tingting's brother has been living in Western Sichuan for years, so she definitely knows better than any of us whether the water is safe to drink, and because my family is so poor, they've always bullied me in the dormitory too, Uncle. You need to find the right person. I deliberately emphasized the tone in the last sentence. Uncle Zhang's expression changed slightly. He gave me a complicated look, then turned to threaten Gao Tingting. Since that's the case, dig out your liver and give it to Xiao Xian as compensation. What? Why should it be mine? She stood up in terror, pointing at me. Then she doesn't have to take any responsibility. 3. I was so grateful to have Xiao Xian sent to the hospital, at such a young age. You're already trying to frame your roommate. How were you raised? At this, Gao Tingting was completely dumbfounded. She glared at me with hatred, her eyes as if wanting to tear me apart. Of course, I knew why Uncle Zhang was so adamant about blaming her. Zhang Xian's later life was already ruined. The high cost of treatment and the Zhang family's fury will all translate into a huge compensation. If you want money, you have to ask someone who can afford it. When there's a choice, who would bother with a poor student who lost both parents and has to save up for tuition? Gao Tingting was crying and throwing a tantrum wildly, just as Uncle Zhang was growing impatient and about to restrain her. A flurry of hurried footsteps suddenly echoed in the hallway. A man's voice growled sternly, "If you dare touch my sister with that filthy hand, I'll chop it off right now." It's Gao Tingting's brother. My heart tightened, and I quickly looked up. Her brother is named Gao Bin. He's been in Western Sichuan for 5 or 6 years and runs a bar with his friends. Gao Tingting often brags to us about it. Her brother is quite influential in the area and very generous. He mentioned several times that he wanted her to bring her classmates to visit Western Sichuan. I noticed a group of local troublemakers following behind him, all looking aggressive. Uncle Zhang's attitude immediately softened. Her brother gave me a cold glance before turning to negotiate with the Zhang family. I suddenly felt my eyelids twitching. As I stood up to leave, Gao Tingting grabbed me. Her grip was incredibly strong, her long nails digging deep into my flesh as she gritted her teeth and smiled. "Don't go, Jiang Qing, my brother is here, and this matter will be resolved." Time passed by minute by second. In the safety stairwell, intense arguments erupted from time to time. I was firmly pinned to the bench, my entire body cold. By chance, a nurse happened to pass by pushing a cart. An idea struck me. And I suddenly let out an ouch, and collapsed to the ground. The nurse quickly came to support me. Gao Tingting was stunned for a moment and exclaimed loudly, "Stop pretending." She wanted to hold me back and not let me leave. But the nurse was very responsible and told her with a serious expression, "If a patient is unwell, they need to be examined promptly, otherwise, the hospital will not take responsibility for any consequences." I moaned and groaned while making a fuss. "Don't tell me I accidentally drank unboiled water too. If something really happens, I won't let you off even as a ghost." Perhaps she was reminded of Qian Li's tragic death. A flicker of fear passed through her eyes, and she quickly let go of my hand. I was helped into the consultation room for an examination. While Gao Tingting was lost in thought with her head down, I took advantage of the crowd to slip away unnoticed. Just as I stepped out of the consultation hall, a short, stout man stamped out his cigarette and reached out to stop me. "Brother Gao has spoken. He's treating Tingting's classmates to grilled beef tonight. You can head back first." His voice was deep and muffled, even somewhat friendly, but it was like a thunderclap exploding in my ears. "It seems there's no escaping this. I'll have to compromise first and then figure out a way out." Half an hour later, Gao Tingting walked out, arm in arm with her brother, skipping along. Seeing me crouched on the ground like a quail, she burst out laughing. "Yo, thought you were so bold. Can't be arrogant now, can you? Don't talk about your classmate like that." Gao Bin gave me a slight smile. "Tingting is immature. Don't take it to heart. Come back with us for a couple of days to have some fun. You saved my sister, and I want to thank you properly." I was about to refuse. The stout man suddenly reached out, pressing something cold against my side. Gao Bin looked at me with a faint, ambiguous smile. I shuddered all over and forced a smile. A group of thugs got into several off-road vehicles. I sat in the back seat, with Gao Bin next to me, and Gao Tingting went to the passenger seat. Several attempts to ask probing questions were all evaded by me. Soon, the car drove to an open grassy area. A dozen men got off the vehicle, chatting and laughing as they unloaded items and set up the grill. The scene quickly grew lively, with flames leaping up and large, bright red cuts of meat being placed on the grill, sizzling and dripping with oil. I looked around but didn't spot Gao Tingting or her brother, so I mustered my courage and spoke to the short, stout man. "I'm thirsty. Can I have a bottle of water?" He casually pointed to the parking spot not far away. "There's some in the trunk, go get it yourself." I slowly approached the off-road vehicle convoy and suddenly heard a low conversation. "Bro, this thing of yours, can it really work? It sounds pretty scary to me. You've already brought the people, don't worry about the rest." Gao Bin was clearly getting impatient. "Once they've had their fun, we can split and sell it. I'll give you 10,000 for spending money then." For some reason, I have a strong premonition, Gao Tingting's real purpose in calling us to Western Sichuan was to meet her brother. However, in the previous life, an accident happened, and they rushed back to school from the hospital in a panic. Missing this opportunity, I quietly took a dozen steps back. I then feigned confusion and muttered, "Is the water supposed to go here?" The surroundings fell silent, and for a long moment, there was no sound. I pretended to fumble around for a while, took a few bottles of water from the trunk, and walked away as if nothing had happened. During the meal, Gao Bin cheerfully handed me a skewer of grilled beef heart. "Since you're here, just relax and enjoy the food and fun. When we get back to the bar, I guarantee you'll have a blast." I felt a wave of nausea after hearing that. The barbecue seasoning was heavy and flavorful, and before long, everyone was thirsty. The short, stout man called out to go get some water. 2 minutes later, a startled cry came from the off-road vehicle. "Brother Gao, the water we stockpiled is gone." At that moment, Gao Bin and a few other thugs were still holding bottles in their hands. Hearing this, they asked in confusion, "What's going on? There are still 2 bottles here. You can have one for now." Several people stood up one after another and headed in that direction. I pointed at the water bottle in his hand and suddenly feigned surprise. "Oh no, are those the bottles I left on the ground?" "You left them, what's wrong?" I'm about to cry. "That's the mountain spring water I packed to take back." The scene fell silent for a few seconds. Gao Tingting was terrified and screamed, slapping the water bottle out of her brother's hand. The cold water splashed out, just landing in the mouth of the person opposite. "Aw." In the chaos, Gao Bin suddenly stood up, his face ashen as he shouted, "Stop drinking, Damn it, this is raw water. Those boxes of water in the trunk, I had secretly poured them onto the ground long ago. Moreover, there is no so-called raw water in my backpack. Watching the scene descend into chaos, I sneered to myself, since they want to put me to death, I'll just overturn their den. Gao Tingting was so angry that she wanted to pull my hair, but I twisted her arm and pushed her away. Control your sister. I worked hard to carry that water all the way here, and I haven't even settled the score with you yet. Gao Bin's face turned extremely grim. Before he could speak, the short, stout man screamed in agony from the woods. Everyone rushed over, and someone shouted at the top of their voice, Lu Qi fainted while peeing. At this point, even I was curious. Gao Bin was so angry he was hopping mad, and without bothering to deal with me, he hurriedly carried the person into the car. A man in his 40s was finally put into a diaper and rushed to the hospital. After being examined, he was immediately sent to the ICU. Gao Tingting asked tremblingly, did Brother Qi also drink unboiled water? The patient's long-term habit of holding in urine has caused a sharp drop in blood oxygen saturation in the circulatory system. The doctor patiently explained a lot of professional terms, and finally everyone understood, it has nothing to do with drinking unboiled water. Lu Qi almost died from holding in his urine. Gao Tingting was in a daze, muttering to herself, then suddenly turned her head and glared at me fiercely. It must be you, Jiang Qin, you're the most cunning, who knows what method you used to get back at us. I looked innocent and certainly couldn't admit it. As early as in the consultation hall, I noticed Lu Qi repeatedly crossing his legs. This is a sign of a man holding back his urine. Lu Qi had just arrived in western Sichuan and hadn't been with Gao Bin for long. It was his first time hearing that drinking untreated water could kill someone. Feeling apprehensive, I was somewhat resistant to drinking water and kept holding back my thirst even when I was parched. On top of that, after driving for a long time, I also experienced some mild altitude sickness. Suddenly, I remembered the taboos I had read about while searching for travel tips. Taking advantage of a casual conversation, I steered the discussion a bit, turning theory into practice. Who would have thought it would actually work? After all the trouble, the Gao siblings ended up losing on both sides. It wasn't until everyone had finished their checks that he finally grabbed me by the neck, slammed me against the wall, and sneered coldly, "You've got some nerve, daring to mess with me. Either you let me go, or you kill me. Since things have come to this, there's no choice but to tear off all pretense of cordiality." The grip around my neck tightened, but seeing how calm I remained, Gao Bin hesitated. He suddenly released his hand, lifted my chin, and threatened me. "From now on, I'll have people watching you closely. If you still manage to escape, I'll take your last name." Damn it, I was roughly forced into the car and followed them as they left the hospital. But no one knew that I never intended to escape. Gao Bin couldn't bear to kill me, nor would he truly lay a hand on me, before I was inspected. In his eyes, I was nothing more than a luxury item about to be acquired. If it has value, then there's room for negotiation. Gazing at the deep night outside the window, I suddenly felt a surge of pleasure. The feeling of manipulating people's minds is particularly thrilling. What fools like Gao Bin are thinking is almost too obvious to even guess. The thought of infiltrating their den is exhilarating. I trembled with excitement. Gao Tingting glanced at me and sneered maliciously, "Only now you realize you're scared. Too late." The bar run by Gao Bin is called Cheers, with 2 floors. It's closed during the day and only opens at 6 p.m. On my first day, my phone and backpack were confiscated, and I was put to work serving food and drinks alongside a group of waitstaff. Most of the customers were older men, reeking of alcohol, leering at us. The waitresses deliberately wore low-cut tops and crop tops, pressing close to customers while serving drinks. A couple of squeezes, a few moans, and wads of cash were tucked into their chests. Seeing my shock, Gao Tingting sneered, "Don't be so naive. Working here for a month earns more than 3 years of your part-time job at school." The next evening, a new waitress started working at the bar. She looked even younger than me, with bright, sparkling eyes that were particularly charming. She had a very lively personality, chattering away with the customers in the shop. I later found out she was a freshman in college who had traveled all the way to western Sichuan after seeing a hostel volunteer opportunity posted online. Being a volunteer is truly joyful. You can both earn money and travel. Once I've saved enough money during the holiday, I'll go to Dolly to see the romantic scenery. But she never got the chance again, that night, facing the old man who molested her. She angrily slapped him. Harsh curses and beatings lasted for a full 2 hours. The girl was covered in blood, dragged on the ground like an animal, leaving deep marks. I quietly followed them and discovered that the wall of the women's restroom stall could actually be pushed open. There was a hidden door inside the restroom. The female student was thrown in, and they carefully restored the wall to its original state. Looking at the darkness that had been concealed, I felt a wave of fear. Suddenly, a hand gently patted me from behind. My hair stood on end instantly. I slowly turned my head, only to see another face, equally terrified. It was the bartender. "You," she signaled for me to stay quiet, pulling me to an empty corner before she began to sob softly. "This isn't the first time. I can't take it anymore, and I can't even run away. I just called the police. When they arrive, we'll testify together." However, several dozen minutes later, I looked at the police officers rushing into the bar but refused to go with them. The lead officer spoke in a gentle tone. "Don't be afraid, we will investigate this thoroughly here. First, we'll take you to the police station to contact your family." After hearing this, I suddenly let out a cold laugh. If I refuse to leave, the police won't forcibly arrest me, right? Their expressions changed slightly, and they instinctively glanced at Gao Bin, who was standing not far away, the dim yellow light. He stared at me intently, his emotions unreadable. "You're quite clever." 5. The following days were calm and uneventful. Only Gao Tingting's gaze toward me gradually grew smug. I guess the time for their delivery must be getting close. If they didn't manage to lure me out, then a contact would come in. I kept a close watch on every move in the bar. Finally, I spotted a new opportunity. There's an old master chef named Wang in the kitchen who needs to slaughter and clean live cattle and sheep every day. Usually, they first stun the cattle and sheep with an electric stunner before processing them. I pretended to be a glutton and sneaked into the kitchen for a few days, figuring out their routine. That very night, the opportunity came. Gao Bin said he would set up a banquet in the evening to reward everyone. A group of people drank themselves into a stupor. And throughout the entire night, Gao Tingting never showed up. At 3 in the morning, the door of the bar was pushed open. 2 men wearing masks came in. Turning my head, I saw Gao Bin staring at me with a faint, ambiguous smile. "Jiang Qing, go open a bottle of fine wine for Boss Huang." My heart suddenly began to race wildly. I responded with an "okay," but instead of heading to the bar, I turned and slipped into the kitchen, through the crack in the door. 2 pitch-black handbags were placed on the table. Same as usual, play for one night, and once the person is taken away, you won't have to worry about it. After saying this, the 2 exchanged a glance and walked straight toward the kitchen. Gao Bin opened the bag, happily preparing to count the money, when suddenly he heard 2 consecutive screams, making such a big scene. He shook his head with a smile, then his body stiffened. In the dim light, I held the battery box and pressed the half-meter-long electric prod against his lower back. "Give me the car keys, Jiang Qing. What are you trying to do? This electric stunner is specifically used for handling cattle and sheep. Turn the switch to the maximum, and even a 2,000-pound bull can be knocked down instantly, not to mention a mere man." Sensing the deadly danger, Gao Bin finally showed fear on his face and began to tremble all over. "Let me go, and I'll give you half of this money. This thing is meant for killing animals. A young girl like you might not handle it well and could easily hurt yourself by mistake." He spoke to me gently, a flattering smile on his face. I grabbed the stun gun and gave him a sharp jolt in the waist. "Keep this dirty money to pay for your own funeral. Someone like you isn't even worth as much as an animal." A powerful electric current surged through his body. Gao Bin's eyes widened as he jerked his head back, his entire frame stiffening instantly. Bang! The man crashed heavily to the ground. I quickly grabbed the car keys, took the cash from his person, and drove away overnight. I didn't kill him because I'm still a student. I don't want to ruin my future for scum. This bar and the transaction chain behind it have swallowed up who knows how much filth and darkness. They must pay an even more severe price. The night is deep, and the distant rolling mountains resemble slumbering giant beasts. I was speeding down the highway, my hands gripping the steering wheel, slightly sweaty. I wasn't sure how long the effects of the electric shock device would last. I didn't know if Gao Bin's men were following behind me, but this was the only chance. If I got caught and taken back, there would be no turning things around. I rushed all the way to the city, found a hidden spot to abandon the car, and blended into the crowd at the morning market. When the SWAT team hurried to the scene and saw it was a thin female college student, they were all stunned. After over 20 years on the force, this is the first time I've seen a student escape from a den of thieves. You're very clever, young lady, knowing to report the code on the utility pole to pinpoint the location. Several SWAT officers were full of praise, just as they were about to head to the bar to investigate. I reached out and made a suggestion. If they wake up now, they will definitely destroy the criminal evidence in advance. Uncle, if you trust me, why don't we put on a show? Gao Bin's men were chasing after me when I was being held by a group of men. A gleaming knife was pressed against my neck, and my clothes were being torn forcefully. Such situations were not uncommon. In the desolate wilderness, it was common to encounter people extorting money. They were all quite cautious, staying hidden in the car without making a sound. Gao Tingting didn't care about any of this. When she saw me, she was like an angry bird, red-eyed, negotiating with the people behind me. How much money do you want? I can give it to you, but this woman cost my brother half his life. I must take her away. Only then did I realize that when Gao Bin passed out last night, those two had cut out his kidney. A conflict broke out on the spot between the two parties. But how could a bunch of thugs be a match for the special police? In the chaos, more than a dozen men were quickly subdued. I seized the opportunity to rush forward and also gave Gao Tingting a couple of hard kicks. She screamed and fell to the ground, howling as I grabbed her by the hair. If you dare lay a hand on me, don't even think about leaving Western Sichuan alive. How laughable that I still cared about our classmate bond. I should have thrown you into a pack of men earlier. I nearly vomited, pinned down her hands and feet, and slapped her twice more. You went to such lengths to deceive us, and you still have the nerve to talk about classmate bond. Under the weight of her hateful gaze, I crouched down with a smile and whispered softly, what a coincidence. I just sold you out too. No more, no less, for 100,000 yuan. Her pupils suddenly constricted. In an instant, jealousy and fear surged through her in turns. Jiangqing, aren't you afraid I'll call the police? Taking advantage of my stunned reaction, she quickly pulled out her phone and directly dialed the emergency number. She loudly reported my information, then looked at me triumphantly. 6, you're finished. If you dare lay a finger on me, the police will track you down to the ends of the earth. For a moment, I didn't know whether to praise her for being clever or foolish. Who has ever seen an accomplice of a human trafficker call the police? Until the police officers hurried over. The originally tense and confrontational atmosphere quickly dissipated after the other parties showed their identification. Watching the two groups of people greet each other politely, Gao Tingting was completely panicked. Her face turned deathly pale, and she muttered unconsciously, how is this possible? How could it be? Nothing is impossible. You can only blame yourself for being foolish, trying to do bad things without a brain. Gao Bin's bar was shut down, and the police followed the clues to bust another medium-sized criminal gang. They had been posting fake job advertisements online for years. They lured inexperienced college students with the promise of high salaries and the appeal of novelty. I don't know how many people, like that girl, have been forever buried in Western Sichuan, but as long as one is not afraid of the darkness, they can help more people escape suffering. That night after I escaped, the two enraged individuals dug out Gao Bin's organs. By the time he was discovered, the blood beneath him had already congealed into a black pool. He is currently lying in the hospital undergoing emergency rescue. According to police investigation results, Gao Bin had deceived 27 young girls and made up to 5 million yuan from organ trafficking. In the hidden door of that bar's restroom, 4 or 5 highly decomposed corpses were discovered. The final verdict was the death penalty. Death is the most merciful form of punishment, yet, in every day that follows while awaiting death, he will be tormented by fear, day and night. He will regret the crimes he has committed. Gao Tingting is suspected of aiding and abetting. I immediately provided evidence of her transactions with Gao Bin, securing her conviction on the spot with substantive proof. Before being thrown into prison, she cried so hard she could barely catch her breath. I'm still a student, I'm only 20 years old. I can't just go in like this, please, let me go. I promise I'll be a better person from now on." Unfortunately, no one cared about her breakdown and despair. From now on, my life will continue to move forward, reaching peaks that are hard to attain, while she will forever fall into the mire, living a wretched existence burdened by infamy and shame. This is her choice. Adults must always pay for their greed and desires. I returned to school and resumed the daily routine of campus life. The story of Chuanqi had already spread across the internet. Many people praised me, but even more distanced themselves from me. I was still isolated, but I didn't mind. Ignoring the outside gossip, I focused wholeheartedly on my studies. I used my scholarship and part-time earnings to improve my grandmother's life. She was so happy she couldn't stop smiling, the wrinkles at the corners of her eyes like blooming fireworks. She praised me to everyone, saying how filial and sensible I was, and that she had raised an exceptionally good granddaughter. I smiled sheepishly, my eyes slightly moist as I gazed at the silver-white hair on her head. Then, I leaned in and whispered softly by her ear, "If there is a next life, I would still want you to be my grandmother, to retrieve the keepsake of his first love's mother." My husband risked his life fighting in an underground boxing match, in my previous life, because I suddenly had a heart attack. My husband turned back to save me and missed his chance to go on stage. His first love couldn't retrieve her late mother's keepsake and, unable to bear the pain, jumped to her death. My husband calmly handled her funeral arrangements, but on the 7th day after her death, he stuffed me into a sandbag and beat me to death. "You faked a heart attack to make me miss my chance, causing Wanwan's death. I want you to pay with your life for her." Opening my eyes again, I found myself back on that day when I had a heart attack, but this time I wouldn't call him. If he's so eager to rush to his death, then let him go. As I collapsed, the pain in my chest was excruciating, and I used my last ounce of strength to grab my phone. Memories from my past life echoed in my mind. My husband Lin Su, a professional boxer, punching me over and over, treating me like a punching bag. The pain of being beaten to death hasn't faded. Reborn at this moment, I chose not to call him. I won't stop him from risking his life for his beloved. But when I dialed the emergency number, it was his good brother Su Hao who answered the call. "Heart disease, sister-in-law, you really say whatever comes to mind. I know you're worried about brother Su and want to stop him from boxing, but there's no need to curse yourself like that." "Is there?" Su Hao thought I couldn't get in touch with Lin Su, so he called him and made up some excuse about a heart attack. "No, I wasn't trying to reach Lin Su, sister-in-law. I understand even if you don't say it. It's normal for women to be jealous, especially someone as goddess-like as Ruan." Su Hao started to criticize me, and my breathing grew weaker. I can't die at this moment, otherwise, what would be the point of being reborn? I gritted my teeth and told him to stop saying those things. "Call an ambulance to my house. If I die, it'll be your dereliction of duty. I'm not with." "You mentioned Lin Su's matter, Wang Meng. Considering your brother Su's wife, I won't pursue your mistake of occupying public resources. We're all women. How come you're so narrow-minded? Brother Su is his own person. He can choose to work for whomever he wants." Su Hao angrily hung up the phone, saying he had never seen someone as unscrupulous as me. Such trivial family matters shouldn't be taking up public resources, and yet they accuse me of throwing a tantrum. If this escalates, it's Lin Su who'll end up losing face. I know they're as close as brothers who share the same pair of pants, but I never expected Su Hao to be so bold. Without even confirming the details, he hung up on me. My consciousness is fading, and I'm losing the strength to even tap the screen. If this continues, I'm done for. In my previous life, on the way to help his white moonlight win a keepsake in an underground boxing match, I called him back with a single phone call. He rushed me to the hospital, stayed with me through the surgery, and missed his chance to step into the ring. By the time he arrived at the scene, the keepsake of Bai Ruan's mother had already been won by his opponent, a former rival he had once defeated. Seeing the disappointment in his white moonlight's eyes, Lin Su apologized to her. But Bai Ruan never saw him again, and a few days later, news came of Bai Ruan's death. In order to please the winner and retrieve her mother's keepsake, she willingly offered herself, but the other party was an extremely violent individual. Not only did he abuse Bai Ruan, but he also beat her until she was covered in injuries. She thought that would be enough to reclaim what was rightfully hers. However, the other party broke his promise, unable to bear the humiliation. Ruan leaped from a high building. Lin Su helped her tidy up the body, and after handling Ruan's funeral arrangements, he didn't say a single word of blame to me, but on the 7th day after Ruan's death, he drugged me, tied me up in a sandbag like a punching bag, and hit me blow after blow. You faked a heart attack and made me miss my chance. That guy was no match for me. It was a sure win. It's all your fault that Ruan died. I should have just let you die from your illness. Okay, Wang Meng, how did I end up marrying such a vicious woman? 7. He hit me so hard that my ears were ringing and I started hallucinating. My whole body ached terribly, so he resented me for causing Ruan's death. He wanted me to pay with my life for her. She and her mother relied on each other since childhood. That was her mother's only keepsake and the very reason she clung to life, all because of her jealousy. You're jealous. In the end, Lin Su beat me to death. And he still wasn't satisfied. He said that in the next life, we should never meet again. He said, Wang Meng, you troublemaker, you deserve to die 100 times over. My body trembled uncontrollably when I finally managed to get through on the phone again. It wasn't Su Hao who answered. I reported the address and my situation, heart disease. It's her again. Su Hao, who was nearby, snatched the phone from the person and yelled, Sister-in-law, how many times are you going to play this trick? Still not giving up, Su Hao, a life is at stake. We should still arrange for the ambulance to go. Don't be fooled by her. This woman is the best at deceiving people. If she hadn't schemed against Brother Su, Sister Ruan would have married him long ago. Su Hao was talking to someone about my past. On the day of the graduation party, we drank a lot of alcohol. I had a crush on Lin Su for a long time. He is a professional boxer and has a particularly strong sense of justice. On the day I started school, I was secretly photographed on the subway. It was Lin Su who chased away that creepy man and made him apologize to me. He said these scumbags should be beaten to death one by one, and he told me to be more careful in the future. I had a crush on him for 4 years. That day, we drank a lot of alcohol together, and that night, Lin Su and I were accidentally locked in the same room. We talked about many things, and later, he held me in his arms, his consciousness hazy. He lowered his head and kissed me, his body burning with an astonishing heat. The moonlight that night was beautiful. That night, Lin Su was also fierce. I didn't push him away, thinking he loved me, but I never expected it was a scheme. Lin Su had been set up, and he cast his suspicions on me, because Ruan accidentally saw my diary, which was filled with my secret crush on Lin Su. After that incident, Lin Su said he would take responsibility and marry me, but he also detested me. Even after so many years of marriage, he never touched me again. He thought I was dirty, and no matter how I explained, he believed I had deceived him. Sister-in-law, you really need to be more sensible. Brother Su has already left and might even be on stage by now. Please don't cause trouble behind his back. Su Hao's colleague didn't dare to take the risk and decided to send an ambulance for me. Su Hao chuckled beside me. Just wait and see, you've definitely been played by this woman. No wonder Brother Su's heart is set on Sister Ruan. Sometimes, sister-in-law, you should also look for reasons within yourself. I had already lost my voice and fainted. Hearing the sound of an ambulance before that, I was rushed to the hospital, and fortunately, I arrived in time. My life was saved. I lay in the hospital ward, and the doctor told me to rest well. Just after waking up, Su Hao came. I thought he would come to apologize to me. My heart skipped a beat. After all, due to his negligence at work, I did have a heart attack and nearly died, but he didn't take it seriously. Sis, your acting is really something. Even our director was fooled. Did you secretly do some intense exercise at home? Deliberately having a seizure, I was speechless and told Su how to get out. He said Brother Su specifically asked him to take care of me. You're fine, I'll call Brother Su back. Is being a doctor such a joke to you? I said angrily. Isn't this just a hidden murderer? Su Hao got through to Lin Su on the phone. He hadn't taken the stage yet and had already arrived at the scene with Ruan. It was very noisy over there. Sister-in-law is fine, alive and well, don't worry, Brother Su. Lin Su's voice was cold, saying it was a good thing he hadn't come back. Almost fooled by me. You really stop at nothing. Can't you be more generous? I've already married you. What more do you want? Lin Su scolded me and said he had to go prepare. so he didn't have time to argue with me anymore. I was really tired and wanted to rest, but who knew that Byron answered the phone over there. She even deliberately started a live stream. And Byron said hypocritically, "It's all my fault. If I hadn't begged Asu, you two wouldn't have argued, Sister Meng. Just this once, lend Asu to me." Byron said that thing was extremely important to her, but I didn't take it seriously and said nothing. They were all stunned. In the past, I would have made a big scene and demanded an explanation from Lin Su, but today, I was truly tired. In my past life, I gave my all, offering my heart to Lin Su. He didn't even glance at it and trampled my sincerity underfoot. He questioned me why I had to be so hard on Byron, saying he married me intending to live a good life with me, but I always made things difficult. "Sister Meng, you must be worried about Asu too. I'll live stream for you." Byron's tone sounded boastful as she said that underground venues like this are chaotic and that you're responsible for your own life and death. I had seen her social media post before. She shared a photo of Lin Su's back with the caption, "The best childhood friend in the world, willing to risk everything for me, life." Lin Su replied with a, "Definitely," and I had already liked that post before. The noise over there was just too loud, and I was already very impatient. "I don't want to watch. Get out. The doctor said I need to rest." "Don't be like that, sister-in-law. Sister Wan is live streaming just for you." Su Hao persisted. He was really annoying. "If I were you, I'd be preparing a written self-criticism by now." He hung up on my distress call. "This is a major mistake. If I had died, Su Hao would have faced severe punishment. I won't let him off the hook." Su Hao's expression shifted. "Sis, we're not enemies. If you keep saying things like that, I'm going to get angry." "What's wrong, Hao?" Byron started playing the nice guy, telling me to take my anger out on her. "Sorry, Meng Jia. It's my fault for asking Hao to help me. I recorded all of this, just in case. These people are so unreasonable. They don't even act like humans. If they try to turn on me, I have to be extra careful this time around. Every step I take must be cautious." A cry of surprise came from the other end, and Byron screamed in excitement, cheering for Lin Su. "Let's begin, Sister Meng. I'm telling you. Su is the most handsome when he's competing on stage. You haven't seen him box, have you?" Byron was showing off so much. If it were in my past life, I would have been heartbroken. The man I loved for so many years, even after marrying me. Still, he has never thrown a punch in front of me, yet he would risk his life for Byron, and I truly envy that. I am willing to support their perfect love, but it shouldn't be at the cost of stepping over my corpse to climb higher. The battle over there was especially intense. I closed my eyes to avoid watching, when suddenly a cry of alarm came through the phone. Byron looked puzzled. "What's going on? What's wrong with Asu?" I saw Lin Su lying motionless on the stage on the screen, and then the entire screen went black. Could he have been beaten to death? I opened my eyes wide, more excited than any of them. Has heaven finally opened its eyes? If this is true, that would be amazing, but I can't see what's happening on the scene from here. Su Hao made several more calls, but no one answered. He was terrified. "Sis, could something have gone wrong? How could that be?" "That guy is no match for your brother Su," I said proudly, secretly pleased. If it were true, I wouldn't even need to take revenge myself. "May heaven take this despicable man," Su Hao said. "What about just now? Maybe the signal was bad." In boxing, you never know who wins or loses until the very last moment. Su Hao was very worried about Lin Su. They grew up together, as close as brothers, with a very strong bond. He was also Byron's admirer. In this small group, Byron was the only girl, and everyone had to flatter her. Even if Lin Su married me, they can still ship the two of them. Still lamenting why Lin Su didn't end up with Byron, Su Hao was soothed by me, and he sat by the bedside. "Sister-in-law, don't worry too much. Sometimes, loving someone means letting go." 8. He said I was too strict with Lin Su, and sometimes when they went out to have fun, I would always call to check up on him. That's such a letdown. Lying there, I thought about many things from the past. I had indeed been too possessive of Lin Su, to the point where I could even set aside my own career. Not long after we got married, Lin Su asked me to quit my job at the dance troupe and stay at home as a full-time housewife. taking care of his daily needs. His eating habits are quite troublesome, and I often spend a lot of effort on these matters. Yet, in Lin Su's eyes, my wholehearted efforts are completely unnecessary. My heart is bleeding. Su Hao has left, and that night I tossed and turned, unable to sleep, but I have already decided to divorce Lin Su. Holding on to someone who doesn't love me, I have wasted my youth in vain. Moreover, because of Bai Ruan's suicide, Lin Su vented his hatred on me, and there should not even be the most basic affection between him and me. Early the next morning, my phone was flooded with calls. Lin Su was on the verge of death and had been rushed to emergency care. I calmly ate breakfast and even bought my favorite wontons and rice cakes. As I finished peeling the tea egg, outside the door, Su Hao rushed in excitedly. Something big has happened, sister-in-law. Brother Su might be in serious trouble this time. After finishing my tea egg, I looked at Su Hao. It's just an accident. There are bound to be bumps and bruises in boxing. Besides, didn't he say before he went that he was willing to risk his life for Bai Ruan? Something really has happened, sister-in-law. Please go and check on him quickly. I was lying there, feeling extremely weak. The doctor told me to rest and avoid going to such places. Lin Su was nearly beaten to death. He was covered in injuries, and the doctor said there was a possibility he might not wake up, remaining a vegetable for the rest of his life. He deserved it. Bai Ruan came to me in tears, pleading, Sister Meng, no matter how much you resent A Su, he is still your husband. Please go see him, at least pay for his hospital bills. Now why don't you say that this childhood friend risked his life for her, and instead come to pressure me? It seems like all the good things in love have been taken by her, as the scandal is about to break, with Lin Su possibly lying in a hospital bed for the rest of his life. Bai Ruan is thinking of clearing herself of any responsibility. Wait, Lin Su fought in an underground boxing match for you, to retrieve your mother's keepsake. Shouldn't you be the one taking care of him, when you were enjoying Lin Su's good times? How could you not know he was already married? Now that he's lying there unable to move, he remembers me, his humble wife. I won't go. I was once foolishly infatuated with Lin Su, almost like a nanny to him, but all I got in return was his disdain. Bai Ruan was very flustered, anxiously wanting to kneel before me. This matter was not well thought out on our part. Miss Bai, we're all adults here. In underground fighting, you're responsible for your own life and death, I said coldly. I tried to stop Lin Su before he left, but he went without hesitation for your sake. To have a friend in life who would risk everything for you, even to the point of death without regret. I'm even starting to ship you too. Bai Ruan looked particularly smug at my words. After all, I already had all the evidence against Lin Su in my hands. Even if Lin Su wakes up and recovers this time, his involvement in underground boxing will be exposed, and his career will be completely ruined. When Su Hao came in, he saw Bai Ruan kneeling in front of me. What's going on, Ruan? Sister-in-law, you're not blaming Ruan, are you? I didn't say anything. I lay there. The doctor told me to rest quietly. I have a heart condition and could die at any moment. How could this be? Bai Ruan's tearful weeping, like pear blossoms glistening with rain, quickly stirred a protective instinct in Su Hao. He said that the accident had already happened, and no one wanted Lin Su to end up like this. I can't blame Bai Ruan for what happened to Lin Su. I don't blame her at all. In fact, I even want to praise this touching friendship. The two of them looked at me as if I were a madman. Seeing that playing the innocent victim was of no use, Bai Ruan gave up. After that day, I went about my life as usual, eating and drinking normally. Lin's parents came and cried for a long time, but I presented the facts and evidence. Lin's mother held my hand and cried for a while, saying, "You've been wronged, Meng. Lin Su is too inconsiderate of you. Marrying him has been a hardship for you," Lin's mother said, adding that such a big matter should have been discussed with them. Let's discuss. I was crying, my body trembling uncontrollably. They all knew I loved Lin Su to the point of madness. I tried to persuade him, but he wouldn't listen. He said if I dared to tell you, he would divorce me. This child. Mother Lin was very angry at heart, and just at that moment, Bai Ruan came back with lunch and offered to treat us to a meal. The Lin parents had grim expressions on their faces. You are not welcome here. If I had known you were a jinx, even bringing misfortune to Aksu, I should never have agreed. There had been rumors among the neighbors before, saying that Bai Ruan was a cursed loner, very unlucky, and both of her previous husbands had died. Her parents have also passed away. I don't care about these matters and don't want to get involved in the discussion, but Mrs. Lin's skills were truly formidable, as she fiercely scolded Bai Ruan several times. "Ah, Su treats you well, and we see that, but he is already married. Please have some self-respect," Mrs. Lin reminded her. "Our family doesn't owe you anything. Don't you harm my son." Bai Ruan wanted to apologize to Mother Lin, saying she really didn't mean it. I sat by and watched them fight among themselves, not needing to lift a finger myself. This feeling is just too satisfying. Don't come here again in the future. Su was willing to risk his life for you, and he got what he deserved. I opened the meal beside me and began to eat heartily. No matter how tough things get, I can't let my own stomach suffer. I stared at the man lying unconscious on the bed, wishing I could pull out his oxygen tube right now. It would be best to kill him, even that wouldn't be enough to vent the anger inside me. Death is too easy a punishment for him. Lin Su's vitality was still too tenacious. He woke up that very night, but his arms and legs were broken, paralyzed from the waist down. He would likely have to live in a wheelchair from now on. Lost in thought, the man slowly regained consciousness. "Meng Meng, you're awake. Sign the divorce papers. I had it prepared early on. I can't have anything to do with Lin Su anymore. Stop making a fuss, okay?" Lin Su's tone was very gentle. He had a headache and wasn't speaking very clearly. He was very nervous and asked me where Bai Ruan was. "Can you move your hand? Sign it." "Lin Su, you're right. I shouldn't cling to a loveless marriage. Now I'm setting you free, letting you go, with Bai Ruan." Lin Su's expression changed instantly. When he saw the divorce agreement, he was truly stunned. "Are you serious?" My expression was quite calm. Lin Su and I actually didn't have many moments to sit down and talk. I've thought it through clearly. Rather than growing to resent each other, I'd rather take the initiative and step back. Let's sign. The mistakes of the past don't need to be carried by either of us. Check, please. When I finished speaking, the doctor came to the door to find me and asked me to go for a checkup. My heart condition is a hidden risk. In this second chance at life, I must be especially cautious. Revenge is necessary, but I also need to make myself happier. "Did you really have a heart attack?" Lin Su asked me tentatively. He will soon find out whether I actually had an attack or not, especially since I've already submitted a report against Su Hao. The hospital will quickly address this major incident. Lin Su looked at me, a trace of guilt in his eyes, and said, "I'm sorry, Meng Meng, I shouldn't have made you worry. I know you love me deeply, and you were afraid I would. There's no need to say any more. I no longer want to gamble. I know you love Bai Ruan, and I'll step aside for you too. In my past life, after he brutally killed me, Lin Su went to die with Bai Ruan, saying he hated himself for not being brave enough and hiding his love too deeply. He should take the initiative to pursue and tell Bai Ruan how he feels. Are you really sure about this?" Lin Su definitely has feelings for Bai Ruan, which is why he didn't try to stop me when I brought up divorce. To make it up to me, Lin Su gave me the majority of the assets. I finally have no connection with him anymore. I got the divorce agreement as I wished, and I've settled the division with Lin Su. Lin Su excitedly took out his phone to contact Bai Ruan, but after making several calls, Bai Ruan didn't answer. Lin Su lay there feeling dejected, watching the sunset outside the window, with many thoughts running through his mind. The doctor has already told him the worst possible outcome. He might have to spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. 9. I've been injured before, and after some recuperation, I recovered. That time, the injury was even more severe than this one. Lin Su said he is confident that he can return to his former self and that it's impossible for him to be in a wheelchair for life. Wouldn't that make him a useless person? The doctors mentioned the worst-case scenario, but there is also a possibility they didn't want to extinguish Lin Su's hope. But I know, Lin Su is done for this time. A few days later, Bai Ruan finally appeared, looking very anxious. Su, you're awake." Ruan, where have you been lately? I'm sorry I couldn't win that jade pendant for you." Lin Su was extremely apologetic and repeatedly apologized to Bai Ruan. Bai Ruan's eyes reddened, and she shook her head. "It's nothing, perhaps it's just not meant to be with that jade pendant." When Bai Ruan learned that Lin Su might spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair, her face turned pale, and she said, "I'm sorry, Sue, I'm divorced. Ruan, Wang Mang and I are divorced." Lin Su excitedly grabbed by Ruan's hand. "I have something to tell you. I like you, Ruan. I've liked you for many years." He said that if it weren't for this matter, if it weren't for being on the brink of death, he wouldn't have so deeply realized the longing in his heart. "Let's be together. You love me too, right?" Lin Su said that Bai Ruan couldn't possibly have no feelings for him, but he saw not a trace of joy in Bai Ruan's eyes. She even seemed quite troubled. Hesitating to speak as if she had something important to announce, "I came today to tell you that I'm getting married." With a clatter, the water glass on the side fell to the ground and shattered into pieces. Bai Ruan handed over the invitation, and Lin Su was nearly crushed when he saw the groom's name. He grew even more furious. "Are you marrying him for that jade pendant?" "Yes." He said that as long as I marry him, he will give me the jade pendant. As Bai Ruan's words fell, Lin Su seemed to go mad, pointing at himself as he questioned Bai Ruan. "What about me? What is my life worth?" Bai Ruan was afraid that Lin Su might do something foolish, so she persuaded him. "I'm very grateful for what you've done for me, but Su, that jade pendant is very important to you." "It is too important to me, I'm sorry." "Aw Su." Bai Ruan's crying expression is still particularly pitiable. Even though Lin Su was filled with anger at this moment, he still didn't want to say anything harsh. "He is my arch-rival and my defeated opponent, and you're marrying him." Lin Su found it ironic. Not only did he lose that match, but now even the woman he loves has been taken away by that person. He was deeply despondent. After that day, Bai Ruan left, and her wedding day was fast approaching. During this period, Lin Su was in low spirits and his parents contacted me many times. They asked me to come see Lin Su. I refused every time, due to my heart condition. It was difficult for me to return to the dance troupe, but I found a clerical job nearby. Lately, I've been keeping a 9-to-5 routine, and my life has become much more regular. My parents want me to move back to my hometown to develop there. Our old town is being developed, and there will be more tourists in the future. They're worried about me staying here, but I haven't finished settling all my grudges yet. How could I possibly leave at a time like this? I thought Lin Su and I would part on good terms, but the memories of our past life are still vivid in my mind. Even now, when I close my eyes, I have nightmares. I recall that day. It was a nightmare that belonged to me alone. I will end all of this with my own hands. On the day Bai Ruan got married, Lin Su went, limping. The people who came were all from the same circle. After all, that person was also an acquaintance of Lin Su's. "Oh, isn't this the cripple?" Lin Su ultimately didn't stand up and entered the room in a wheelchair. The man had thrown quite a few provocative remarks, and Lin Su clenched his fists tightly, not wanting to embarrass Bai Ruan. Today, Bai Ruan was the bride, so he had to give her some face. If it were any other day, he would have fought back long ago. "Loser, how do you still have the nerve to show up here?" the man said with a laugh. "Oh, right. Are you here to play the hero and save the beauty?" The man said there was a wedding prank going on inside, and Bai Ruan was playing with a group of groomsmen. Bai Ruan's voice was almost hoarse, and those men were laughing in a foul and particularly lewd manner. Lin Su couldn't stand to watch, but these people wouldn't give him any respect, especially since this man married Bai Ruan purely to humiliate Lin Su. He had lost to Lin Su too many times before and finally seized this opportunity. "Stop tormenting her." Lin Su couldn't hold back any longer. Bai Ruan's makeup was smeared, her hair and clothes were disheveled. At this moment, Bai Ruan felt like she wanted to die. She never expected this man to be so perverted, letting them take advantage of her, letting them humiliate her. "Oh, isn't this Brother Su?" One of them picked up an egg and threw it on the ground. "Brother Su wants to play the hero and save the beauty. Huh, come on, get down on the. Let the dog on the ground perform for us to have a laugh." Lin Su's face instantly changed. Bai Rose shook her head, urging Lin Su to leave quickly, but how could Lin Su bear to leave Bai Ro in the wolf's den? He retorted, "If I perform, will you let Ro go?" Of course, Lin Su abandoned all his dignity, his already not very nimble legs, and crawled on the ground, barking like a dog. It amused the group of people greatly. They all took out their phones to record the moment and posted it online. The man deliberately picked up Bai Ruan and flaunted their affection in front of Lin Su. That night, Lin Su did not sleep a wink, and Bai Ruan's agonized cries continued relentlessly. The next day, she went to find Lin Su, covered in injuries. It was already half a month later when I saw Lin Su again. I was at the hospital to pick up some medicine when I saw Lin Su accompanying Bai Ruan for a checkup. Both of Bai Ruan's eyes were swollen, and there were quite a few injuries on her body. I didn't go up to greet them. Instead, Lin Su called out to me, "Meng Meng, what a coincidence." Because when Su Hao hung up on me, he was dismissed, and Lin Su also knew what had happened that day. He apologized to me several times, but I ignored him. "Meng Jia, stop, Miss Bai, I'm not older than you, don't call me Meng Jia, it's disgusting." Bai Ruan's eyes were red and puffy. I moved closer to her, but she kept dodging. "Was this done by someone, or did you fall?" Bai Ruan avoided eye contact, no longer carrying the proud and confident demeanor she once had, even hiding behind Lin Su persistently. Lin Su sighed and said that Bai Ruan had been through too much lately. The woman beside him tightly grabbed his arm, preventing him from saying more. I didn't ask any further questions. "Are you doing okay lately?" Lin Su's eyes were tinged with a hint of sadness. "I'm sorry for what happened before. I'm doing great, and I wish you both happiness." 10. I pretended not to know that Bai Ruan had married that man and wished them a long and happy life together. Bai Ruan's face looked as if she had swallowed a fly. Lin Su hurriedly explained to me, "We didn't get married. Ruan married someone else." I was laughing inside, but my face was full of regret. "That's really a shame. I won't talk with you anymore. I'm going to get my medicine." After I got the medicine and went out, I found Lin Su waiting for me over there. He said he hadn't been training lately, and this unexpected injury had made him think a lot. The person worth spending his life with was actually me. "Meng Meng, are you willing to remarry me?" Lin Su said he secretly looked into me, and I haven't found someone new. He said he knows I still can't let go of him. "You're overthinking it," I said with a cold smile. "I'm just emotionally exhausted and need a break. Not interested in you, Law." I explained it once and didn't want to pay attention to Lin Su. Bai Ruan doesn't want him anymore, and now he's thinking of going back to her. There's no such good thing in the world. Moreover, his health has improved a bit now, and his confidence has returned quite a lot. At this moment, I released the news about Lin Su fighting in underground boxing matches, and public opinion quickly escalated. He did so much for the sake of Bai Ruan's deceased mother's keepsake. Many things, during our marriage, this admirable love. I want everyone to know about it. The heat remained high, and initially, people online didn't know their true identities. Later, some couldn't resist digging into it, initially envying such a childhood bond, a love willing to risk everything for her. However, once it was revealed that it was an affair during the marriage, no one could taste the sweetness of this sugar. Soon, many people began to sympathize with me, saying that I was the most pitiful one in this relationship. Lin Su was originally still in contact with the club, and he could have returned once he recovered, but now that's not possible. The club immediately expelled him, and Lin Su's future career prospects looked bleak. Lin's mother called me several times, saying that Su wasn't eating or drinking and that I should go see him. I turned them all down. Recently, I've been too busy with business trips for the company and don't have the energy to deal with these matters. Auntie, we're all adults. When he chose to risk his life for Bai Ruan, he should have thought it through. I told him before he left, about the many possible consequences. He could have died out there. The current outcome is still a relatively good one. Lin's mother said she still thinks I'm the kind of person who is suited for a stable life and a harmonious home, while someone like Bai Ruan is too wild at heart, just like her mother, willing to take extreme risks. Get out. Mother Lin also said that if Bai Ruan really wanted to marry Lin Su, they would have gotten married long ago. Why wait until now? But these things have nothing to do with me. She cried and asked me if I really couldn't be her daughter-in-law anymore. The past is in the past. Look forward. The most immediate result after the public opinion flared up was that Bai Ruan was beaten even more severely by that man. She came to Lin Su to cry and complain with increasing frequency. Get a divorce, Ruan. There's no need to go through this for a dead thing. Lin Su now also goes to comfort Bai Ruan, knowing that it's just an inanimate object. The person is already dead, and the things left behind in this world become an obsession. Is it so necessary that you would even risk your own life? Bai Ruan has been crying all along, saying that she and her mother have relied on each other since childhood, and that object feels like her mother is by her side, but if this continues, you'll be beaten to death by him. Andy wouldn't want to see you like this from heaven. Lin Su was extremely agitated, hoping that Bai Ruan would think clearly. If she kept showing up covered in injuries like this, how could she go on living? Bai Ruan sobbed uncontrollably in Lin Su's arms. And they held each other tightly, like star-crossed lovers. If I get divorced, would you still want me? Bai Ruan's voice trembled, but at that moment, Lin Su hesitated. His deep affection and true love couldn't withstand the hardships they had endured. He said softly, "We are just good friends. I already have someone I like." "Huh, is it Wang Meng?" Bai Ruan's eyes were red. "But you clearly said you would marry me before." Lin Su said he just hadn't figured out his own feelings. "I've lived with Meng Meng for so many years, and actually, I've had feelings for a long time, it's just that I didn't know myself, but she won't forgive me. In this lifetime, I'm willing to remain chaste for her." Bai Ruan pouted, saying she truly envied Meng Jia. "Envy me, being misunderstood by the man I love, ignored by him, and beaten to death by him like a punching bag. If you're so envious, would you like me to give it to you?" A photo of the two of them embracing and crying was taken and posted online. When Bai Ruan's husband saw it, he was furious. He had married Bai Ruan in the first place, to provoke Lin Su. Now that his goal had been achieved, he showed no courtesy to Bai Ruan. "You despicable woman, you even cheated on me. How dare you? I'll beat you to death." The man struck with heavy blows, and after a few hits, Bai Ruan collapsed to the ground. Lin Su, who had just brought Bai Ruan home, heard the commotion inside. He limped as he pushed the door open, grabbed a kitchen knife, and headed in that direction. "Are you trying to kill her, you beast? Lin Su, you cripple, what are you doing in my house?" Before the man could react, Lin Su stabbed him with a knife. But because the man was very strong, the two struggled and, each stabbed the other several times. The scene was a river of blood, extremely terrifying. The two of them fell down in unison. When Bai Ruan woke up again and saw the two people lying in a pool of blood, she was terrified. With trembling hands, she called the police. That night, both Lin Su and that man died, and Bai Ruan was so frightened that she developed a mental illness. She became delirious, at times laughing and saying her mother had come. She was taken home, and soon after, she was crying and calling for Ah Su. Mother Lin cried until she fainted. She said she had long warned that Bai Ruan was a jinx, a cursed loner, and indeed, she had brought misfortune to her precious son. This incident has caused a huge uproar. It had high attention before, and now the discussion around this murder case is particularly intense. I was at home, eating a late-night snack, calmly watching this news. Those words are shocking. I have finally gotten my revenge, even if it wasn't a direct method. I knew they would eventually clash, but I never expected it to be so straightforward. I wanted Lin Su to live the rest of his life in misery, but now that they've settled it between themselves, it's a kind of release. I went to see Bai Ruan once. She was crouching in a corner, crying with her head in her hands. I don't know if it was real or an act. When she saw me, Bai Ruan reacted strongly, screaming, "It's not my business. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. Two men fighting over you. You should be proud." Bai Ruan, "Wang Meng, you're here to laugh at me, aren't you?" "Huh," I sneered. "Of course not. Your husband has always been defeated by Lin Su. Why is he winning this time?" Beforehand, Lin Su was not as good as him, and you know the reason best. I turned around and sorted through the whole thing. Lin Su is a very disciplined person, and he is exceptionally capable. How could it be that just a few minutes into the start, someone was beaten to the ground and couldn't move at all? Someone had already tampered with things before this, actually. From the very beginning, you and your husband teamed up to deceive Lin Su. It's a pity that fool died without ever knowing he was betrayed by his childhood sweetheart like this. I didn't do it. No, I didn't. Bai Ruan was the first to play dumb. She had made a deal with that man, but she never expected him to be so ruthless. He nearly killed Lin Su. Looking back at every step of this, I really have to admire how cold-hearted Bai Ruan is, but since she's already pretending to be like this, she'll have to spend the rest of her life here. Otherwise, based on this evidence, she would end up in prison. Spend the rest of my life. 11. She is a smart person and will make the right choice. Lin Su's mother invited me to attend his funeral, but I declined. I have already cut ties with the past and am preparing to return to my hometown. I submitted my resignation to the company, bought my ticket, and will spend the second half of my life live well. I smiled faintly. 12. The end. That concludes the first story. Stay tuned, the next one is even more exciting. It doesn't matter anymore. What? See? Dead. The end. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment below. See you in the next video.